And the groups got to the crux of it. We want trustworthy content. And a lot of the questions that were coming from the class, we're going to answer them through my content. So, when we were talking about the poor examples, it was really important, and I was looking for this answer, is that the problem with a lot of blogging content that isn't relevant is the companies talk about themselves too much. And if you looked at your lecture notes this week, I said don't talk about yourself. Talk about the customers, talk about trending topics, talk about what's important to them. So think about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola don't sell their products. Coca-Cola sell experiences. Coca-Cola, in everything that they do, their ads, their content, their products, it's an experience they sell. Even though it's an FMCG marketplace, plus as well they're market leaders, so it's easier to be in that space. But they never sell anything but happiness and experiences. Go through their ads. Think of it as we come up to the season that's coming with Christmas, holiday season. The music holidays are coming. It's going to be all red. I mean, that's why Santa is red. Everything is inspired by this, but it's all experience. They never talk about the product. It's always product placement. That's the same logic. Yes?
With an example like Coca-Cola, it's such an established brand that's been around for so long. So at some point, they must have been marketing the product, you know?
In the beginning, and what you'll see is in developing countries that they are marketing the product. But what happens with a product like that is the taste. So once people, and that kind of addictive nature to it, they need to be first in markets. So what you see is they try to get into new markets quicker than the competition. So they try to get into new markets ahead of Pepsi. They also do their research. So if you look at them, that they have the different tastes, they get cultural analysis, they do their research, their homework, they find out what the likes are in different countries. So in some countries you might have a very dull Coke. In others, when you open the can or the bottle, the fizz that you hear is really important to some cultures and not others. The taste, the sweetness, the sugar, the colour, everything is adapted based on different cultures. So they understand their marketplace and adapt the product in order to understand. As well as that, they pay premium price for the spacing that they have on all aisles. So that's another strategy that they use. So if you look at a lot of brands and FMCGs, if they're in supermarkets or any shop or retail outlet, you pay a premium if you're an adult-based product to get at the eye-level shelves for adults. The same if you're children. So look at the cereal aisle next time you go into supermarkets. Look at the cereals that are at your eye level. Look at the cereals that are at the eye level of a trolley where a child is sitting in it. And again down below if they're standing. Different cereals are taking different aisle space, and they each take a premium spot because that's where people are looking, that's where they're going, and that's where they actually look. And it's all these different strategies together that work together. When you're a service, so say for example if you're a hairdresser, if you're providing anti-spam software, it's a different technique in industry, because if you're breaking into industry, a lot of that in terms of B2B is referral marketing, word of mouth. So you have to be able to, and that education, that information aspect with your blog is critical, because once you satisfy that, then they're going to move to the next step, which is to either call your company, have a one-to-one with one of your teams, your sales teams, and then sell the product on top. So B2C, B2B are very different and how they enter the marketplaces. But from a content perspective, this has to be trustworthy. And from an SEO perspective, so it's top organic results. And this, in terms of the last group, you answered this really well in terms of what you're coming to, how you actually look. The difference between competitors is if you're going constantly for paid listings and sponsored ads versus your actual organic traffic. And people think, well, I'm going to go PPC. It's fast. It's going to cost us money, but it's going to have a higher return on investment. That's great. But if you haven't got your organic strategy figured out, you're never going to rank higher with Google. And these are questions that were coming in terms of how do I constantly respond to Google, the algorithms, the changes. You have to work on your organic strategy, your search SEO strategy. How you do that is you go through, if you're all familiar more than likely with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have Moz, which is a direct competitor sometimes to HubSpot in terms of inbound. So they have Maslow's hierarchy of SEO needs. And you remember, you have to start at the bottom and work your way all the way up to the top, so the more sophisticated. And the very first one is crawl accessibility. So you're looking at this crawling, indexing. So they literally, since spiders, not the creepy crawling, flying with 8 legs if you're afraid of them, they literally spin their bots through to scan all websites. They're working on your coding, on your everything, the HTTP. They're going in and understanding everything that's on your website. So you better understand how to actually look at the site structure, how to set it up, all the coding that goes in behind the background, all the language, because all of this, if you're not categorizing it carefully, it's not helping you in terms of your crawl accessibility, in terms of your ranking, in terms of Google. There are other factors, but this is one of the key critical sources with your websites. Content. There's a reason why this module is inbound marketing and content creation. You can have a great inbound strategy, but unless you have the matching content, which is remarkable and attractive to your audience, you're not going to rank, because you need to show that you are an expert within that area. And then you move up to keywords. And this is where you really have to be careful between white hat SEO and black hat SEO. So white hat, you do your key research, you understand. The problem with black SEO is there's this keyword stuffing. So you're constantly putting in your head terms, or I heard short tail keywords. So that's been kind of overhosed now by head terms and your long tail keywords. You really have to understand that strategy so that you're actually understanding how to implement in your content. Look at the advice I gave you this week. If it seems like you're going to verge into that keyword stuffing, you need to actually look at creating what are the synonyms for that actual word, so you don't get caught for this, because they will penalize you in terms of the algorithms coming from Google. There are some companies, this happens all the time with companies, that tell you, right, I want that word to appear 20 times in your blog post. This is where immediately you need to watch, because these people don't understand inbound marketing, they don't understand SEO, they don't understand keyword research. Companies that do this think it's just important to get the keywords out there. And it's not. You need your strategy. So you need to do your homework. You need to understand, I need to understand my audience. And I have given you in the Word document, under additional resources like Google Trends, the Bazumo, the likes of AnswerThePublic.com is fantastic for understanding where people are at in relation to your topic. User experience. Again, the website, the navigation. How are they actually moving through the website? Share-worthy content. And this is where a lot of you, in terms of your CTAs, always have shareable content. So look at every blog post that you're looking at. They have their Facebook icon, they have their X icon, they have Instagram, they have, share, and actually where are you going to share this? All these companies are recording that data on their analytics to see, okay, what is actually being perceived as remarkable content? Where is it being shared? Who's it being shared with? They're gathering all this information so that it can help them. Google is actually tracking all this as well, and it's actually ranking your website through all of these means. The title, URL, and description, as everyone has said, and I did give you a resource that will show you in terms of what will cut you off, what won't, in terms of how it displays. The worst thing you can have is your keyword displaying after the cutoff, because then you've lost your audience. So they're coming to you for the keyword itself, so you need to watch for that. And then you have snippets and schema markup. Tina will get into that in next semester, but it's just so you're aware. And the most important thing is to do your keyword research. So there's a difference between search queries and keywords. And this will just show you like where you're looking at in terms of the search demand curve. So the number of keywords that people are looking at, the number of monthly searches. So you can see it is going to be hard when you start out. And everyone kind of looks and goes, but isn't paid PPC just easier? Won't I don't have to do all of this work. I'm just going to get out there, I'm going to be in the first few ads. I want you to go on Google and have a look at car insurance. It's one of the most concentrated marketplaces for PPC. There are always people competing against each other in PPC for car insurance. Now go down into your organic search and have a look and see who's competing. They're always changing because they always have to look at the content, how they interact, how they're actually speaking with their customers. So when you're looking at saturated markets, People will say to stand out, I'm going to get in terms of I'm going to have to go PPC. So, but if you're going for your search strategy, if you have a long-term mindset, which is what's really important when you're looking at your content, it's long-term. This isn't short-term for fast gain. This is long-term strategy. We're take care about our customers. We're going to improve. We're going to do lots of iterations of your content. Again, the groups talked about evergreen content. Yes, and I'll show you how you can repurpose after in our last week. But it's getting that content and making sure that what is there in the evergreen is actually relevant. It's useless having everything as evergreen content because some of it just isn't going to be relevant. Some of it is, say for example, if you're talking about COVID, that's no longer relevant. It was only relevant for a specific time period. So again, you have to update your content, update what you're looking at. You'll see in the next few months you'll be bombarded by all trends that are going to happen in digital marketing, content, SEO, inbound. All new strategies for 2024 are going to start popping up. They are evergreen content because a lot of people are just changing. Here are the top trends in 23 and it comes 24 and they'll tweak one or two paragraphs in their blog post for what's trending for 2024. But not a lot is going to change between those periods. Sergeant had a question there related to how do you know where your keywords? So, and then if you look at this, there's different searchers' intent. So when you're looking at keywords, you have to understand your customer and their intent behind the search. And they fall under these 5 different categories. So you can have informational queries, navigational queries, transactional queries, commercial investigation, and local queries. These, once you understand the problems that your customers have, you'll understand the intent behind why they come to your website, why they come to your blog post in the beginning, which will help you tailor your keyword strategy, which will help you understand what keywords need to go in all of your content, whether that's through social media or blog posts. So look here, and this is an example, if we pull it through the whole chain, of someone who's coming from awareness to consideration to decision stage. When we start out, we might start with digital cameras, just looking for digital cameras. Then you kind of go, okay, I've done a little bit of homework, I understand the digital cameras. Now you're going to go back in and your search queries are going to be about digital SLR camera reviews. Now you know the type of camera, now you want to see what people are saying about them. Then you see in the reviews the ones that keep getting recommended. So now you're moving further. So you see how you're moving through the buyer's journey? You've identified the problem, you're aware. Now you're in that consideration. Now you're deciding between, you're looking at the reviews, you're picking, and you're choosing a brand now. So now your search is changing. So the intent has changed throughout each of these phases. Now I want Canon EOS 1300D cameras. And then intent, behind that again, Amazon, Canon. Now I'm buying. So there's the search query changes depending on how you move through your buyer's journey, which means the keywords are changing. So a lot of companies, when they get into organic, is they will try to optimize for all of these keywords. So in terms of digital cameras, reviews, they'll try and hit all those typical that move people through buyer's journeys. So that a blog post will deal with all those different aspects. Testimonials. So you'll see the likes of Canon, if they're dealing with this, they start listing their camera. They start looking at, here's the reviews. All that information would start popping up within their content. So that's straight away that they are perceived as the expert. Straight away, there is no other option anymore. And just for your information, how do they rank content? So search, analyze, find, analyze, rank. So build discovery and relevance, creating lots of high quality content. So we're not talking about everyday content. We're talking about high quality content on the topics you want to be known for. So this is where, as a team, you need to understand what is it that we want to be known for. Do you want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, or do you want to be known specifically for one aspect, one topic, and that's where your expertise falls? That's what you need to decide as an organization. So you can keep writing about lots and lots of different material, but if you specialize in one, then that's going to work in your favor in terms of the algorithms, because that's all you write about, that's all you're known for, and again, they see you as the expert. Build authority by getting lots of high quality links to your website. So the moment you're perceived as an expert in your area, others will start linking to you. And this is backlinks in the online world is similar to your references that you do in your projects. Think of it like that, except they're just hyperlinks, basically. So how we do this in SEO world, if we're Google, is through crawling, indexing, and ranking. That's what they're doing. So for every piece of content you put up, immediately you need to update your website, your sitemaps. Because if you're not doing that, then Google isn't going to find all your content. So crawl, so they start the search engine bots to discover your content by crawling it. Then they decide how relevant your context is based on indexing, and they do this through your keywords. So this is why keyword research is so important. And then the authority stage is they'll rank. Now there's lots of different elements. And good luck trying to get all that list, because you will never get it from Google, because they keep changing it, because a lot of companies will learn how they can actually manipulate the Google algorithms. So there's a company up in Dublin, what's the name of it now? Can't remember the name of it. Wolfgang Digital. And I remember years ago I was a judge on the Irish Content Marketing Awards, and I looked at all their campaigns, and they were phenomenal at understanding the algorithms. But the moment Google realizes that suddenly companies are starting to rank really strong, really quick, and consistently, they know we've got to update. We know we've got to change the ranking criteria, because their companies are so good at a lot of this information. So they learn to manipulate by looking at what other keywords and how they could rank better than their competitors. But all of this, it's all so again, this ranking, all this, it's all high class, top secret, FBI, CIA type material. I've tried talking to a lot of Google representatives. They will not tell me anything. But again, if you just look at what I'm telling you to do, look at content, do your homework, understand your audience, what do you want to be known for? You will start your checklist going very, very quickly, and you will start to dominate and move up organic. Now don't think, I'm doing this, I should be up at the top. It takes a long time to maneuver your way up to organic. There's a lot of content, a lot of strategy has to happen. So just even moving yourself up through the pages, that's progress. Some companies might want to say, well, I want to rank on the first page. Why aren't we ranking on the first page? What's happening? Why are you not doing your job? Are you not good enough at your job? And you just have to have those conversations going, it takes time. Okay? We're moving, and show that incremental increase time and time again to those that are above. Authority directly impacts. So this is where when you're known for something, and it's important not to be creating backlinks left, right, and center. So just because your buddy works in some other company going, I'll give you a link and that'll help you. It's all based on content theme, looking at relevance, authority. It's all built together. So you can't just backlink and ask for links for the sake of it, as well as buying them. Never, and you will get severely penalized. So how do you determine the authority? So they do this by asking, are you talked about a lot? Are you referred to a lot? Are you cited in other works? And that takes time, because that takes partnerships. That takes a lot of information, and I'm going to talk you through that over the next few weeks. But when you do user-generated content, when you do partnerships or influencers, it's making sure that the links and the conversations they're having is that it works in your favor. As well as that, think about, okay, invite questions, do an interview with someone in another area who's perceived as an expert. If you link to them, they're going to want to link back to whatever you've mentioned about them as well. So already if you know someone is ranking quite high in the area, have conversations with them, in conversation with, or we got top tips from XYZ, who's the CMO of such a company. Look at HubSpot materials. How often have you looked in theirs where they talk to other experts? And suddenly those experts are talking back about HubSpot. So it's that partnership, that quid pro quo exchange that they have that'll help build your authority. But it's strategically done. And they're with very high-ranking, well-respected companies. So again, that kind of looking at what you're doing. So which SEO approach fits your business? This is the worst thing you can do. look at your competitors and go, well, that's what they do. Let's go. We'll reinforce. We're going to do it. We're going to take it off and work with it. I've told you this time and time again. The moment you follow your competitors is the moment you're not doing anything creative or innovative yourself. So what reason are you giving your customers to swap? Nothing, because all you're doing is replicating and mimicking what the competition is doing. So if you look at yourself and go back to that digital camera. Now, I say digital cameras, everyone's looking at the camera going, who buys digital cameras? They're on their phones. No, there are people like me who still buy digital cameras, okay? So it's when you're looking at this, if you're looking from, if I was Canon, and I'm looking, and they're kind of going, how am I going to differentiate if I only look at what competition is doing? You have to understand it from the perspective, how can I be superior to them? How can I be perceived as the better brand? Come back to your Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Coca-Cola spent so many years as the market leader in their industry for beverages that Pepsi thought we're never going to surpass them. So they decided to have a completely different strategy. And they started buying out some food groups. So without being in the beverages, they moved into food groups. So they looked at cereal brands, they diversified their whole portfolio. What happened? They surpassed Coke as market leader for the next few years. Coke were so, in a way, complacent about their strategy, thinking, okay, this is our industry, that they just didn't see PepsiCo actually diversifying their portfolio. Now, since that, they've actually sold off a lot of those portfolios. But what has Coca-Cola done to regain this market share? What are we all very conscious of in the last few years? Sugar. So their products are going to be highly known for sugar content. So what have they done? Arden is holding up an example. Water. What is it? What's everyone want? Water. So they're buying out the water companies now. Again, shift, market leader again. So it's understanding and diversifying. Now that's decisions on a grand scale. But you have to understand, how do you diversify? So is it your content? Is it what you're known for? So let's take, for example, a company, it's Titan HQ. Have we heard of it?
Yeah.
Yes? So Titan HQ years ago, it's a tech company here in Galway, it's out in Salt Hill. So they were known as Spam Titan. So they only did spam software. But then they started diversifying, and then they went into Shield, Titan, so they had lots of different portfolios underneath Spam Titan. And they thought, we actually need to rebrand. We're Titan HQ. So they were very specific, very niche, and they went into more and more offerings, and then rebranded to make sure it represented all of their offerings. So you can see, if you want to be specialized, you can go very niche, but then expand it out, and then that's how you get more and more traction. So look at that philosophy when you look at different organizations. So if it worked for them, no. You got to make sure your content is compelling. It's remarkable. You do that through your research. So let's break this up for a second. Sorry now to the group. They're going away. Who wants to give me a question? Topic. Shout something out. Very random. Yes?
I just wanted to add something.
Yes?
We used to, in my previous company, Brownie Superfoods, all our blog titles were from this, and we will use a different demographics, UK and India, and we did see 25% increase in our traffic to our websites over a year. I know the number is small, but we're talking about a very big scale.
Yeah.
Like normally people want to present the 25% increase, and that's the organic data, organic traffic. It's quite a thing, and we used it for increasing there was a millets year by Indian government, and our company was in association with them, and we don't want to show that association out loud until the launch. So we did Indian government did a whole millet campaign using this. So if you can say millets used in UK, you would get a lot of questions that we actually used.
Okay. 25%, that's quite big. I know you're sitting there going, no. And on a scale, when you look comparatively against industry standards, that's actually quite high.
Yeah. It was like if you just see millets used in India, like you just type that in, and you see for UK and for India,
What am I typing in?
you see the common topics, and then the teams collaborate on millets used in India.
Millets.
MILLETS used in UK maybe first. The change economy, change of
Am I going to the UK?
yeah.
Have any of you used Answer the Public before? Very restful. Abby has. It's great to understand what your audience thinks. So this is just analysing all Google data and information. So if we look at minutes used here, so you can see there's 30 out of 30 questions. These are the most asked questions in terms of actual search queries.
It set us apart because a lot of companies were already publishing recipes, so we thought that space is crowded.
So does minutes still exist? Does minutes grow in the UK? Minutes in the UK, why are minutes important? Does minutes grow in the UK? So who do minutes use for delivery? How many minutes stores in the UK? Where are minutes stored? Minutes in the UK, what food is minutes in? How to use minutes in daily life? How to use minute flakes? So all the questions you can see very randomly in relation, yes, Aaron?
What does that ratio mean? Like I just looked up food and cost and it says 56 out of 85.
For which?
And that where yours says 30 out of 30. What is that
They're
ratio?
typically the most questions that are being asked when they're typed into search bars.
So if mine says 56 out of 85, 56 out of 85 are not out there.
Yeah. So they're the top questions. So it'll also show you here, see this angle is the search volume, and then cost per click, they won't give you that because they want you to actually upgrade and pay. But you don't really need that if you're just looking for ideas. And then you come down and it'll show you the prepositions that are used. So again, it gives you a good example. So if we look,
And change
Anime.
that to India, you'll have diaspora, the common search diaspora.
Sam, you were going to,
Look up anime.
oh, how am I spelling this?
ANIME.
A-M,
No, AN.
M, I-M-E. The Irish market? Let's go to back to Ireland. We're going to have to do that next. Let's go beyond. We'll show you again next week. But again, another one. Google Trends. That'll help you to, so you can look up specifically what's trending, or you can look up specifically, if we look, I'll do this side too. So you can see the interest over time, the interest by city, related topics, related queries. So it'll actually show you a lot of information, what's trending now. So it'll show you what's trending, real-time search trends, and again you can see where people are going.
A lot of celebrities use this for their Twitter.
Yeah, Buzzsumo is another aspect. So you saw that this week. Again, just create the free. Don't ever pay for any of these. And then you have FollowerWonk, but that's been acquired recently. So we're trying to change the system to be messy. Anything that you have to start, never put in a credit card. Is what I'm trying to say. So when we look at all this information, you can find out what people are talking about. So in order to create compelling content, understand what they understand about your content in the first place. So if you're there going, how do I know the questions that people are asking in relation to Port West? Type in some of the areas and you'll start to know what are the top questions that people ask within that area. Because remember, your blog post, the first point when you're in awareness, is you're solving for a problem. How do you understand what that problem is? Ask resources like this to see what the problem is. How are people framing the questions? It'll help you have more tailored posts in terms of answering their questions, solving for their problems. Again, this is for you because you're outside the company. Inside the company, they'll have a lot of that data, so they'll know the issues that people have or the frequently asked questions to be able to create content. But for you outside the company, you're reliant on these resources. Yeah.
Sorry, I normally browse like LinkedIn just for job opportunities. I actually noticed that Port West was hiring for a digital marketing position. I was wondering, do you think it's like a good idea just to look for their like what they're looking for, and then kind of identify those areas, and then like analyze their website and try to figure out like if you were in that position to get in that mindset for content calendar creation? Do you think that's like a good suggestion to start as a starting point, or?
For which?
Oh, just for like, the content calendar and then the persona. So you almost put yourself inside what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And just hiring.
It's a different way to actually do it, but it would help you to understand where they lack the skills. But again, you want to do that carefully, so it's not looking like I'm superior and you lack the skills. So there's a fine line in how you do that. So, and how you can actually close the gap without making it seem like you never had it in the first place. But it's balance. It's a balancing act of relevance and authority. And again, it's organic search. So if you're after quick results, PPC is your friend. But that's going to cost you. Whereas organic search is a strategy over time that's going to actually create more revenue for your company because you're known as the expert in your field, you're creating remarkable content, you're recognized from that from Google and different applications. I always keep saying Google, but there are other browsers out there, platforms. I'm not going to go through this, apart from saying, I really want you to get into the mindset, and this is something that happens with students particularly, is the keyword strategy. The long-tailed keyword strategy. So students just think, okay, I'm going to go with the head term, generic term, short-tail keywords, whatever phrase that you use, or based on your experience, you have different ones. The short term are those, that 1 to 2 words, 2 to 3. And then students think a long-tail keyword is 3, 4. But they're also questions. They're all solving for all 5 of those informational intent needs that I showed you. So information transactional. So make sure that your keyword strategy looks towards all of those intentions. Because that's the differentiation in long-tail keywords. And that's what will help you in terms of writing content, because then I should see those keyword strategy in the actual content of your blog. And you will have to do 2 blogs. Not in this assignment, but coming up. So if you understand them and do that keyword research now, you'll understand. And you can see what their competitors are doing. Another question is, how do you know what's AI generated and how do you know what's not? So you can literally put it back into Google and say, or ChatGPT, did you create this? It won't take it?
No. I mean, AI cannot predict AI, unfortunately.
Well, a lot of the big journals, they submit back in and say, was this created by you? And they will say, this was created on such a date.
Who can check that?
So say, for example, an assignment, I can put it back into ChatGPT and say, did you write this?
I would tell him that.
So you can, there are where it can figure it out, but it will say it wrote it. But again, you have to take it replica for replica. So if you start changing elements and just change 1 paragraph, then you haven't written, it hasn't written the whole thing. That's where.
One of the tricks, yeah.
Yes. So there's just these different elements. But as I always say, if you're going to do that, that's your loss, because you're not figuring it out. And this is where application comes in. So you can use it to help. Again, I say this to students all the time, it'll bring you a certain percentage of the way. So if you're looking for 2 2s, it'll help you to get there. But you just use your skills and expertise to move it on. So you can look and say, okay, what keywords would you suggest for Port West? You can help it to help you, but you don't take those because that's only based on free information. It's only looking at what's publicly available. It's not looking at inside what's behind closed walls, gates, subscriptions. None of that information is available. As well as it's only taking articles if you're looking at university systems readings, those that are not behind paid subscriptions and those that are not within the last few years. It's those that are open source. So there are those issues in terms of what you're looking for. Keyword planner, so there's a lot. Google Search Console you can use if you have access to it. They will help you. Mimic the language that your buyers have. So this is where I had that example. Are you Irish Times, Daily Mail? What type of reader are you and what you can actually do? Again, I'm not going to go through all this. But again, just how to write catchy headlines and titles. Go back to Answer the Public and see the questions that they have. Will help inform your keyword strategy, which will help you then actually decide how do I create compelling content. You're going to see over the next few months, as we approach Halloween, as we approach the holiday season, there are going to be a lot more different appeals. So you're going to have a lot more humor appeal, emotional appeal, bringing people back to their childhoods, bringing people back to, oh, do you recognize this? There's going to be lots of different appeals and content that comes. As well as content, if you're looking at days like Mother's Day, Father's Day, World Daughter's Day, all these different days, where they take that humor appeal, oh, last minute, here's some ideas for buying. So they know that kind of, they're targeting a specific audience. They, oh, have you not bought your Mother's Day? Here's some last minute gift ideas. So you can have all these different kind of based on theme, based on events. And a lot of companies will look at world calendars and see what big days are coming up and market theme all their content around those. So there's different ways of actually looking at this and tailoring your content so that you're relevant across all the different calendar weeks and months as well. So there's lots of information that you can have. I think, yes, that's me. I have to update the attendance. It's where you manipulate. So it's if you're buying lists, if you're buying backlinks, if you're just using keywords and stuffing them into your content so that you're trying to rank for them by putting the word in there 30 times into a blog post. That's only 2,000 words. They know you're trying to manipulate and trying to be perceived as an expert when you're not. So if you're working on it genuinely without actually deceptively trying to actually manipulate the ranking and the calling, then that's fine. But it's if you're actually trying to buy your way through to be perceived as an expert rather than actually having a strategy and working for it. Again, if there's any questions, there's always a class coming in, so I'm just going to stand outside, so if anyone wants to ask any questions, you can come outside. But that's it for this week, and I shall see you next week.
Probably finish this week. Finally finish this week. I'm so sorry.
The good news you have done now.
You mean the PowerPoint or what?
I mean the presentation. The presentation. I mean, at least
Presentation?
you have done now, and you don't have to worry about it more.
So that's what